One preseason game. That's all it took for Shedeur Sanders' Nike contract to jump from $125 million to $250 million. And it wasn't because of touchdowns or stats. It was a clause triggered by media exposure, not performance. This kind of clause doesn't even exist for most athletes. But under the prime equity system he shares with his father, Deion Sanders, the rules are different. It's not about waiting to prove yourself on the field. If you're into the real story and all the messy twists they don't show on highlight reels, go ahead and subscribe. And if you're sticking around to see how this Browns QB chaos plays out, you should definitely be subscribed. About proving your value before you step on it. Nike isn't paying him for potential. They're investing in a narrative with measurable returns. That kind of shift, where media impact is as valuable as athletic output, isn't a trend, it's a new standard. By engineering contracts that reward presence and influence, Sanders has cracked a code that most brands are only just beginning to understand. He's not just being watched, he's being measured and paid for every moment of visibility. So, let's talk about what actually happened here. Because it wasn't just a deal. It wasn't just a headline. It was a full-on dismantling of the way sports business has functioned for decades. Shedeur Sanders didn't just reject a contract. He rejected a model. A $60 million guaranteed endorsement from Gatorade, one of the most iconic athlete brand deals you could land, and he walked away. Why? Because it wasn't about the money. It was about the terms. Instead of taking the check, Shedeur took 3% equity in Gatorade USA, a rookie, fifth-round pick, equity, in a multi-billion-dollar company. That's not a PR stunt. That's real ownership. Voting rights. Board access. He didn't take a payday. He took a position of power. This is the first time an NFL rookie has ever pulled something like this off. And it's not a coincidence. It's the result of prime equity, a strategic framework engineered with his father, Deion Sanders, that flips the entire concept of athlete earnings on its head. Prime equity is built on 3 pillars: full control of name, image, and likeness, nil; direct negotiation of all deals; and 100% profit retention. That means no agents slicing percentages, no licensing boards inserting themselves into contracts, no collective bargaining agreements redirecting revenue into institutional buckets. Every dollar earned off Shedeur's name, face, or brand flows directly through him. This isn't a preference. It's a defense system. It's protection against the institutional pipeline that's historically diluted athlete earnings. It's a blueprint that locks down control and turns every brand partnership into a business move, not a marketing gimmick. And the results speak for themselves. The Gatorade equity deal is already historic, but it's only one piece of a much larger portfolio. Let's talk about that Nike contract. Originally valued at $125 million, the deal had a built-in performance trigger, but not the kind you're used to. This one wasn't based on yards or touchdowns. It was based on visibility, cultural traction, media engagement. After just one preseason appearance, that clause kicked in. Nike doubled the deal to $250 million, not because of stats, because Shedeur moved the needle in every other metric that matters today: reach, impact, resonance. This is a new valuation logic. It's not about raw athletic output. It's about narrative velocity. If you're the story, you're the asset. And Shedeur's brand moved so fast, so loud, and so far that Nike had no choice but to cash in again. Now combine that with the jersey sales. Over 375,000 units sold before week 1. More than any other rookie in NFL history. But the kicker? He's getting 50% of the profits. Not a royalty. Not a symbolic cut. Profits. Normally, when an NFL jersey sells, the money goes through a labyrinth. The league, the team, the retailers, the licensing groups. By the time it hits the player, it's been cut 10 different ways. What Shedeur did was bypass that entirely. He rerouted the capital straight from the consumer to his own business. That's not just a better deal. It's a total restructuring of how merchandise monetization works. He's exposing the inefficiencies in the system and replacing them with a direct-to-athlete model that makes sense in the digital age. And that's only the beginning. Next up, His $75 million annual partnership with Brady. Not a one-off commercial, not a campaign. A recurring revenue stream that pays him like a company, not a contractor. This signals something huge. The industry doesn't see Shedeur as a promotional figure. It sees him as a revenue-generating ecosystem. That's a level of recognition even most established veterans don't get. And Shedeur is doing it at 21, before playing a full regular season game. His portfolio stretches far beyond apparel and endorsements. He's deep in tech with EA Sports, not as a cover athlete, but as a co-developer. He's sharing revenue and shaping the product. That's not representation. That's participation. That's someone walking into a meeting not asking, "Where do I sign?" but saying, "Here's how this should be built." Same goes for his involvement with AT&T. Again, not a sponsorship, a strategic collaboration where his digital presence feeds into telecommunications and cross-platform media. He's not selling airtime. He's becoming part of the infrastructure that moves it. And then there's a thing everyone thought was just a side project, his barbecue sauce. But this isn't a celebrity vanity line. It's a vertically integrated operation. He owns the supply chain. He owns the formula. He owns the intellectual property. And it's not isolated. It's woven into his broader retail and event strategy. This is real ownership, not rented fame, not short-term hype, not someone else's product with his name on it. He's building distribution. He's tying it to content. He's scaling a food and beverage vertical as part of a larger consumer goods expansion. Every deal, every sector, every contract, all of it connects. Nike fuels jersey demand. Jerseys justify Gatorade equity. Gatorade opens doors for EA Sports. EA strengthens his digital presence. AT&T monetizes the visibility. The sauce becomes a physical product tied into every other element. This isn't a list of endorsements. It's a loop, a tightly coupled, self-reinforcing machine. That's what makes this so hard for the old system to process. Because it wasn't built for athletes to have this kind of power. Especially not this young. Especially not with this level of control. What Shedeur has built isn't just rare. It's anti-fragile. It doesn't collapse when he doesn't play. It doesn't rely on stats or awards. It grows with presence, with visibility, with cultural relevance. He doesn't have to win a Super Bowl to become a billionaire. He just has to keep owning the narrative. And that's exactly what he's doing. Because beneath the dollar amounts, beneath the contracts and headlines, this is really about reclamation. For too long, black athletes have been the engine of billion-dollar leagues without owning the outcomes. Their value has been extracted, repackaged, and resold without ever reaching their own hands. Shedeur flipped that script. He didn't just reject exploitation. He designed a system that makes it impossible. No middlemen, no licensing boards, no institutional dilution. And the impact is already spreading. Agents are adjusting. Brands are panicking. Leagues are being forced to re-examine everything from nil clauses to image rights frameworks. Young athletes across all sports are starting to internalize a new truth. Leverage isn't granted. It's built. Shedeur built it from the ground up with lawyers, strategy, planning, and relentless clarity. And now there's no going back. He's not an anomaly. He's a prototype. And if this is the rookie version of Shedeur Sanders, you have to wonder what the fully scaled version is going to look like. Let us know in the comments. Which part of this shook you the most? The Gatorade equity? That Nike growth trigger? The 50% jersey revenue? Or maybe it's just a sheer fact that he's doing all this without even needing game day stats to back it up. Hit the like button. Share this with anyone who still thinks rookie contracts are where the money ends. And subscribe to stay on top of every athlete, brand, and boardroom that's flipping the script like this. Because if Shedeur Sanders is the future of sports business, everyone else better start catching up. Fast. So where does this leave the rest of the league? Because whether they admit it or not, every front office, marketing executive, agent, and rookie prospect is watching what Shedeur Sanders just pulled off and trying to figure out what it means for them. The NFL as a business has always counted on one thing: structure, predictability, hierarchy. Rookies get in line. Veterans earn leverage. Stars maybe get a slice of the machine, if they're lucky and obedient enough. Shedeur didn't just skip the line. He reprogrammed the entire system. And now, That structure doesn't look so stable. The minute he secured that 3% equity stake in Gatorade USA, it wasn't just a flex. It was a warning shot, not because of the dollar amount, though that's massive, but because of what equity represents: control, long-term value, alignment with corporate growth. When Shedeur said no to a $60 million guaranteed endorsement in exchange or ownership, he told every athlete out there, don't have to sell your image, own the upside instead. That one decision shattered the old blueprint, and brands are panicking, because for years, the entire marketing ecosystem has relied on volume deals. Sign 10 athletes, pay them fixed fees, cycle through campaigns. It's transactional, disposable. Now, athletes like Shedeur are saying, no thanks. I don't want a check. I want a seat. And that makes every brand nervous, because equity deals aren't one and done. They come with boardroom presence, strategic involvement, brand voice. Athletes become partners, not pawns. And Shedeur's presence isn't passive. He's not just collecting dividends while others do the work. His entire business model is active participation. Through his prime equity infrastructure, he negotiates directly. He structures independently, and he keeps 100% of profits. That's unheard of. No agents taking their 10 to 15%. No union license cuts. No third-party marketing groups funneling deals through the same tired pipeline. It's just him, his team, and airtight legal infrastructure. And that's why it works. Because this isn't charisma. This isn't social media hype. This is contractual leverage. Every one of his deals, from the Nike contract to the EA Sports collaboration, is built with strategic triggers, revenue sharing, and brand integration. These aren't side hustles. They're core assets. Look at Nike. The fact that a rookie could double a $125 million contract to $250 million after one preseason appearance should terrify everyone still stuck in the wait your turn mindset. He didn't need a highlight reel. He didn't need a trophy case. He needed attention. He needed relevance. And he got it, not because he gamed the system, but because he designed it that way. The clause wasn't based on performance. It was based on visibility and cultural resonance, a real-time metric of Shedeur's brand velocity. And Nike agreed to it, which means they knew what they were investing in. They weren't signing a quarterback. They were buying into a media engine, a narrative juggernaut, a self-contained audience that converts engagement into dollars. And it paid off, fast. Now pair that with the 375,000 jerseys sold before he even played a single regular season game. That number didn't just break records. It rewrote the economics of merch. And here's the kicker. He takes 50% of those profits. That's not a royalty. That's not a symbolic slice of the pie. That is ownership-level revenue on what has traditionally been one of the most tightly controlled income streams in professional sports. The NFL's licensing structure was never designed to favor players. The system routes profits through team deals, retailer cuts, licensing agreements, and league shares before a cent ever hits a player's account. But Shedeur, he opted out. He renegotiated from scratch. The jersey itself is now a direct-to-consumer cash flow, straight from fan to athlete, bypassing every middleman. And that's massive, because if it can be done once, it can be done again. Which brings us to the bigger problem. For the system, Shedeur just proved that you don't need to be a top pick to have top-tier leverage. Draft number? Irrelevant. He didn't wait for market validation. He built his market. His model doesn't rely on what a team thinks he's worth. It monetizes what the public already knows he's worth. And he turned that into a $75 million annual partnership with Brady. Let's be clear, that is yearly money, not a lump sum deal, not a seasonal bonus. A structured, long-term partnership that treats his personal brand like an autonomous revenue stream. And it is, because it's all interconnected. Nike fuels visibility. Visibility drives jersey demand. Jersey sales reinforce cultural relevance. That cultural weight justifies equity deals. And those deals validate him in boardrooms, not as a player, but as a peer. Look at EA Sports and AT&T. These are legacy brands that don't just hand out creative control. But Shedeur's involvement isn't superficial. He's not a figurehead. He's a co-developer, a revenue participant, a decision maker, and it's all part of the flywheel. Every deal fuels the others. The barbecue sauce brand is not just a food product. It's an entry point into physical retail. It's integrated into live events, merch, content, and distribution. It's scalable. It's IP-driven. And most importantly, he owns a supply chain. There's no licensing partner, no third-party bottling deal, no outsourced product management. He controls it all. And that's what makes it different from the typical athlete-endorsed brand. This isn't a temporary cash grab. It's infrastructure. So yeah, Shedeur hasn't thrown a touchdown in a regular season game yet. But he's already passed every business benchmark the league didn't even know it had. And he's done it without compromising on a single value. Because none of this is built on chance. It's all deliberate. Every contract, every clause, every negotiation. It's years of preparation meeting a moment where the sports industry is finally catching up to the idea that athletes are more than players. They are platforms, publishers, enterprises. And Shedeur, he's a prototype. He's not just optimizing personal finance. He's deconstructing the athlete as commodity model that's ruled sports for a century. By retaining full control of his nil rights, negotiating deals independently, and eliminating institutional profit siphons, he's not just maximizing earnings, he's exposing how much has always been taken. And that's why analysts are calling this a revolution. Because Shedeur's story is no longer just about one player making smart business moves. It's about a new generation of athletes seeing that there's a different path, a smarter path, one that doesn't rely on gatekeepers or earning your stripes through years of financial compromise. Instead, it's about showing up with leverage already built in and unapologetically using it. So what happens now? The ripple effects are already visible. Agents are being asked harder questions. Brands are seeing deal terms challenged. Leagues are reviewing outdated nil language. Players, especially rookies, are realizing that draft status doesn't dictate value. Preparation does. And as Shedeur enters the league, not with endorsements, but with ownership, the message couldn't be louder. The era of the passive athlete is over. The athlete as employee, done. The athlete as licensee, obsolete. We're in the age of the athlete as enterprise. And the thing is, it's not slowing down, because this isn't just a big moment for Shedeur Sanders. It's a movement, a structural shift, an industry-level disruption happening in real time. And if you're still thinking this is just a flashy story about one exceptional rookie, you're already behind. What Shedeur did wasn't just shocking, it was repeatable. That's what makes the system nervous. Because if a fifth-round pick can walk in with legal infrastructure, retain all nil rights, turn down $60 million in guaranteed cash, and flip that into long-term ownership of a multi-billion-dollar brand, then what excuse do top picks have for leaving equity on the table? What excuse does anyone have for signing their identity away for a percentage of royalties? There is no excuse anymore, because Shedeur Sanders just proved the game was rigged and then showed exactly how to beat it. He didn't wait for the league to hand him power. He built it before ever putting on an NFL jersey. And that right there, that's leverage. Not hype, not potential, but real legal strategic leverage. Let's zoom in on that again. 3% equity in Gatorade USA. That's not a seat at the influencer table. That's a stake in the executive suite. That's board meetings, strategic votes, a financial interest in every product launch, every expansion, every uptick in sales. His wealth is now tied to performance of the brand, not the performance of his arm. And when Gatorade thrives, he doesn't just get thanked, he gets paid. That's the core of why this matters. Because Shedeur's not playing to get rich from endorsements. He's playing to own the upside of the very industries. He's fueling with his face, his name, and his narrative. And it's working. The Nike deal was a perfect demonstration of this model in motion. A single preseason appearance, just a moment on the field, and the contract doubled from $125 million to $250 million. Not based on touchdown stats, not based on QBR. Based on visibility. The clause that triggered the jump wasn't about yards. It was about impact. This is a new metric, not scoreboard impact, cultural impact. because brands have finally realized influence doesn't wait for stats to stack up, and Shedeur built his contract to respond to exactly that. The deal didn't say, win us a game. It said, dominate the cultural moment. And he did. And jersey sales? That's where it gets even more disruptive. Because 375,000 jerseys moved before week 1. That's not normal. That's not even close to normal. But what is historic is that Shedeur retains 50% of the profits from those sales. Not after licensing fees. Not after league cuts. Not after retailer margins. Profits. Straight to him. And that fundamentally changes how athlete merch is understood. For decades, players have been told that jersey money is just a bonus, something symbolic, a little piece of the pie. But now that pie is the main course. Because Shedeur took control of the revenue chain itself. He made sure it flows directly through him. No union clearinghouse. No trickle-down check from the NFLPA. No standard structure nonsense. Just a deal that reflects its actual value to the consumer. And let's not overlook how rare that is. Because historically, athletes have been locked out of the most profitable parts of the sports economy. They provide the product, but rarely hold the keys to distribution. That's by design. It's how the industry protects itself. Keeps players in the talent lane, not the ownership suite. But again, Shedeur said no to that script from the jump. And it's not just about jersey money. It's a full circle structure of his entire ecosystem. Every part of his portfolio connects to the next. Nike fuels his visibility. Visibility drives jersey sales. Jersey sales validate his cultural relevance, which justifies Gatorade equity. Gatorade's platform supports EA's sports integration. EA Sports boosts digital resonance, which feeds back into AT&T's media strategy. AT&T fuels platform exposure that helps sell everything from apparel to the barbecue sauce. And yes, the barbecue sauce is part of Plan 2. It's not a vanity product. It's a vertically integrated operation with full control. IP, production, branding, retail strategy. He didn't just throw his name on it. He built the infrastructure. It's designed to scale, to move with him, and to work as a tangible, consumer-facing piece of the larger brand he's constructed. Because Shedeur isn't just signing deals. He's building a portfolio that mirrors a tech founder, not a rookie athlete. Look at the $75 million annual partnership with Brady. Not a one-time campaign. Not a logo on the jersey type of arrangement. This is structured, recurring revenue. It's designed like a dividend. A deal that pays him like an owner, not a brand ambassador. And the significance here isn't just a number. It's the recognition. The Brady brand looked at Shedeur and didn't just see a promising player. They saw a fully formed brand ecosystem. They saw value beyond the field. And they aligned themselves accordingly. Because let's be honest, Shedeur isn't just monetizing hype. He's turning every moment of attention into a financial mechanism. Every contract clause is tied to visibility. Every product partnership feeds the next. Every business move increases the value of the last. And most importantly, every dollar flows through a system that he owns. This is what prime equity was built for. To trap value at the source. To prevent leaks. To kill the middleman. To make sure that every brand built off Shedeur's identity ultimately benefits him. Not the usual network of institutions standing between athletes and their earnings. And that changes everything. Because this blueprint is now public. It's out there. And every young athlete paying attention knows it. They're seeing that leverage isn't something you wait to earn. It's something you prepare to wield. They're seeing that you don't need to play the traditional game. You can build your own. And if you do it right, the market will respond. The proof is already here. Gatorade said yes to a fifth-round rookie asking for equity. Nike doubled their investment after one appearance. 375,000 fans bought into his story before he threw a regular season pass. That's not speculation. That's the future unfolding in front of us. So drop your thoughts in the comments. What part of this ecosystem blows your mind the most? The Nike contract clause? The Gatorade equity? The jersey revenue model? The barbecue sauce vertical? Or just the fact that he did all this without a stat line to his name yet? Hit the like button if you're watching the business of sports evolve in real time. Share this with someone who still thinks draft order is the only path to leverage. and subscribe because we're tracking every move of the players who don't just want to make history, but own it